One of the best things about team building in Wuthering Waves is the freedom to pair two DPS units together instead of the usual DPS, sub-DPS, and universal buffer or sustain units lineup that we're used to, and still crush any kind of endgame content. But the downside of double DPS playstyles is the lack of synergy between the two DPS units that you want to use, and the potential downside of field time requirement, because most DPS units need to spend more time on the field to do damage, which affects your overall damage per second. All that changes in version 2.6 because Augusta has an ultra skill that buffs all type damage by 15%, meaning that she can buff anyone. If that wasn't enough, she has the fastest field time among all DPS units in the game and can literally stop the countdown timer of the Tower of Adversity and Whimpering Waste, in addition to freezing buffs that she obtains, but they still remain active when she's doing damage, which is absolutely absurd. If this is your first time here, welcome to Augusta's character breakdown video, which belongs to the character breakdown series where we build and test your favorite resonators to provide you with the most effective ways to use them in Wuthering Waves. Before we proceed any further, I want you guys to keep in mind that every footage used in this video was captured on the media server, so things may be subject to change upon official release. The pinned comment will be updated frequently to clarify any changes in the future. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Forte Circuit. Augusta's playstyle revolves around building up purple and orange stacks, as you can see right here. You can fully regenerate purple stacks with basic attack stage 1 up to stage 3. Skill and intro skill. With full purple Forte stacks, you can keep holding basic attack, and when this backstep animation begins, release your basic attack button and she'll sweep across the field with an enhanced ground heavy attack. Potential issues that you might face with the skill version of recovering purple Forte stacks is that if you hold your basic attack button too quickly, right after using her skill, she'll perform an uppercut instead, and you wouldn't want this for several reasons, which will be explained very shortly. The best way to fix this issue is to basic attack once right after the skill press, hold basic attack to start the backstep animation, and then let go to start the sweep animation like so. You can also press jump when purple stacks is full, as you can see it highlighted right here, and Augusta will perform another enhanced heavy attack but an uppercut version instead, and then plunge to the ground when you press a basic attack again in midair. But for the sake of your sanity, please don't use this because you cannot reset her dodge counters in midair like Brand does, meaning that it's quite easy to get knocked out of the sky like this.
Conquest begins now.
The ground version that I covered earlier lets her stay on the ground, so it's easy to dodge incoming attacks. It can also hit more enemies, evade attacks, and catch up to annoying targets that move around a lot. The best part is that the ground version has a much higher damage multiplier compared to the uppercut version, and this is relevant because they both scale off heavy attack damage, meaning that your damage is affected by heavy attack damage bonuses and amplifications. Now for orange stacks, any kind of damage that you do to enemies will recover them, but the ones that fills up a large portion is the enhanced heavy attack, sweep, and uppercut that I mentioned earlier, and her normal resonance liberation. So the combo that you need to fully fill the orange gauge is intro skill, hold basic attack and release, skill, basic attack, hold basic attack and release, and then finally cast her normal liberation. Now, once orange gauge is full, press skill to summon the griffin and press basic attack 2 times to plunge on the ground with a griffin that does big damage and gives you 1 stack of majesty, which you can see right here. With 2 stacks of majesty, hold the liberation button to cast Ruler's Realm, which stops the countdown timer of endgame content like the Tower of Adversity and Whimpering Waste. maintains all the buffs that she has throughout the duration and freezes enemies as well. After casting the special liberation, just spam basic attacks until she finishes it off with this special animation. And that's pretty much how you play Augusta. Keep in mind that Ruler's Realm lasts for 30 seconds and it gives your teammates a shield whenever they intro to the field while the Ruler's Realm exists. Since you need 2 stacks of Majesty and you can only get 1 from her Forte Circuit or the Griffin attack, she has this passive that gives her 1 stack when she's out of combat for more than 4 seconds. But there's a problem with this passive. In endgame content like the Tower of Adversity or Whimpering Waste, if you swap out Augusta after doing damage and proceed with your rotations to get back to her, she may not get the extra stack of Majesty that this passive provides, because she's technically still in combat even though she might not be on the field. So this passive is meant for overworld exploration purposes where you're not engaged in combat most of the time. Her Ultra skill fixes this issue and creates another problem. The incoming character can get 15% all-type damage amplification like Showkeeper and Verina's Ultra skill, so it's pretty powerful and most importantly, universal. But you cannot swap out the active character for any reason until their concerto energy is full, and you need to outro from the field with the character within 14 seconds before Augusta can gain 1 stack of Majesty that she needs to do damage in the next rotation. So as you can see right here, I was stuck on Showkeeper after the Augusta intro skill and couldn't do any animation cancelling by performing simple swaps to Mortefi in order to skip some of his basic attacks and regenerate concerto energy much quicker to shorten his field time like the first rotation. I want you to think of this as the same thing that happens where you lose Ultra buffs if you swap out a character before the buff duration runs out. But with Augusta's Ultra buff, you not only risk losing the Ultra buff itself, but you also risk losing 1 stack of Majesty that makes her rotations even more smoother at S0. Augusta also has a passive that gives her a small shield when she does damage to an enemy. This shield is mainly used for activating buffs on her signature weapon and her Echo Sonata effect, so be sure not to rely on it to protect you from incoming damage. Also keep in mind that Augusta is very squishy, so she can be interrupted most of the time. She also spent a moderate amount of time setting up her rotations in order to do big damage unlike other characters, so you can easily lose Ultra buffs from sub-DPS buffers like Mortefi. While the time stop mechanic might seem like it's too broken for Augusta to have, it actually synergizes really well with her playstyle in terms of keeping Ultra buffs, especially for those who will be going for S0. Team options. You can slot Augusta into any team and you'll be able to demolish anything due to her universal damage amplification from her Ultra skill and her short field time for doing damage, so double DPS playstyles are strongly recommended. But for those who want to see only Augusta hit those crazy numbers, the first team that I recommend is Augusta, Mortefi, and Showkeeper. Mortefi provides 38% heavy attack damage amplification from his Ultra skill to make Augusta hit some satisfying damage numbers. You can also replace Showkeeper with Verina, but everyone should have Mortefi, so this team is very free to play friendly. Second team recommendation is Augusta, Yanlin, and Showkeeper. Yanlin can provide 20% electro damage amplification with better damage output and shorter field time compared to Mortefi, but the free-to-play team will come out on top if Mortefi is S6 with an R5 cadenza, which makes him super fast during your rotations. Build. For her weapon options, if you cannot afford her signature weapon, Gian's signature will be her best alternative. Casting her normal liberation will give you all the 2 stacks that provides 48% heavy attack damage bonus, as you can see right here. So it's a very decent weapon option. Per my testing, the damage difference between R1 Verdant Summit and her signature weapon at R1 was very negligible, but I had to do a lot of crit fishing by restarting my runs multiple times to get that result, specifically for Verdant Summit, because of the crit damage substat instead of a crit rate substat. There are a lot of intricacies involved, so I'll leave the details for another video that focuses on comparing the 2 weapon options in terms of damage output so that I can keep the guide video as short as possible. So be sure to subscribe to the channel if you don't want to miss it. Second priority will be Lupus' signature weapon because of the crit damage substat, which pairs well with the crit rate on Augusta's skill tree. Third option is Jinxi's signature, and the last option is Lustrous Razor. For echoes, go with 3-piece Crown of Valor and 2-piece Void Thunder with the 4-3-3-1-1 formation. The focus will be crit rate False Sovereign if you're running her signature weapon, but will be the opposite of what you have on other limited weapons like the Verdant Summit. So if you have a crit damage substat on your weapon, go with crit rate and vice versa. For those running Lustrous Razor, go with a crit rate 4-cost Echo. 3-cost will be double electro damage bonus regardless of the 5-star weapon that you're running in terms of balancing your stats, since her Sonata effect buffs attack by 30%. The 1-cost will be attack percentage as usual. As a bonus tip, 3-cost echoes can be very difficult to farm, so focus on getting the 2 3-costs from Void Thunder, since it's a pretty old Sonata effect, so you should have a lot of electro damage bonuses by now to farm the 2-piece effect. This can make the 4-cost and the 1-cost very easier to farm to be able to get the 3-piece Crown of Valor in no time. Your substats priority should be crit rate, crit damage, and heavy attack damage bonus. Talent priority will be Liberation, Forte Circuit, Normal Attacks, Skill, and Intro Skill. Rotations. I'll be covering her free-to-play team rotation for now and provide an update upon Yuna's release in case she has synergy with Augusta. This is the build that I'm running on all teammates. Keep in mind that my substats look the same because it's made this way for testing purposes on the media server. And if you look closely, all my stats are the lowest possible rolls that you can get for each substat. So you should be doing more damage than me if you roll better substats than what I have. As always, the rotation sequence will be put on the screen so that you can easily follow through whilst I'm narrating the rotations. We first start with Showkeeper's skill and swap to Mortefi to do basic attack 2 times, and then press his skill. Swap back to Showkeeper, basic attack to fully fill her Forte stacks, and heavy attack. Here, I wanted to cancel the heavy attack animation by swapping to Mortefi, but it was interrupted by the dodge. So I swapped to Mortefi anyway and did basic attack 2 times, which should now fully fill his Forte stacks so you can use his Forte skill. We are now done setting up things to make the first rotation much faster, since we can't rely on intro skills to get concerto energy in the first rotation. Swap back to Showkeeper, basic attack, and use our Liberation when our concerto energy is filled past 75%, which is this mark right here. Echo skill and intro to Mortefi. Liberation, Echo skill, and intro with Augusta. Hold basic attack and release. Skill, basic attack, hold basic attack and release. Liberation. Forte skill, basic attack 2 times and then hold Liberation. Simply spam basic attacks until the final animation ends. Now you can outro to Showkeeper. Keep in mind that you need to stay on the character that receives Augusta's outro skill until they fully recover concerto energy and intro to another character within 14 seconds, or else Augusta will not gain the Majesty stack that she needs to do damage in the next rotation. Sequences. If you're a very casual player, getting S1 can make our gameplay so much easier because I faced a lot of interruptions when using the plunge attack from the Griffin. As you can see in this part of the footage, I lost about 200k damage, which is a pretty significant damage loss, so if you're a very casual player and you're not really interested in learning the enemy's attack patterns and stuff like that, S1 is highly recommended. However, if you cannot afford S1, here's a tip that can make things a whole lot easier when using her Forte circuit. When you press the basic attack button in midair that sends out an energy pulse, simply delay the next basic attack input that summons the Griffin to plunge on the ground. And the best part is that you can actually spend quite some time in midair until there's an opening or the enemy is not actively attacking before you press your basic attack button to plunge with the Griffin. But do keep in mind that if you spend too much time in midair, you risk losing ultra buffs from sub DPS buffers like Mortefi and Yelin. The rest of the sequences are not required, so it's something that you can pick up if you really like her playstyle. Testing of each sequence will also be provided in a dedicated video, so be sure to look forward to it. That's all for my dedicated guide on Augusta. Hope this video provided value to you, and if it did, leave a like and subscribe to help support the channel because it's free and you can always change your mind. Be sure to also join our Discord community if you're having any issues with the game or you just want a place to chill or hang out. Link will be in the pinned comment below. Catch you guys in the next one. Bye bye.